Welcome to another edition of Bet with Bobano, Friday, August the 9th. Ian Cameron, final show of the week, and we're talking MLB. We'll also give you some NFL preseason thoughts, or at least I will for tonight, maybe a couple for tomorrow as well, as NFL preseason week one continues tonight also. But primarily baseball will be the focus on today's show. We'll get to the card in just a moment. But first, we again want to mention the 6 months all sports discount at Dub Club. $400 down to $250 US. If you sign up today, you'll get coverage all the way through to February next year for the entire NFL and college football season. 22.2 units of profit in NFL and college football combined last year. And keep in mind, this offer is only valid for 2 more weeks. August 24th is when this offer ends at the start of the college football season. So after that, it goes back to the regular $400 price for 6 months all sports. So now's the time to sign up sometime in the next 2 weeks. Take advantage of this. $150 off the regular price, $250 for 6 months all sports. Now through February, make sure you sign up for that. The other options at Dub Club for the full card, 1 month all sports $75, 3 months $200, 1 year $750. And if you want best bets and a lower volume card daily, best bets, top plays only in all sports, then sign up at SoBet, $9.95 per month. We need to change that graphic. It's profitable in 12 of the last 20 days. And, you look at that and you say, well, 12 winning days, 8 losing days in the last 20 days. It's not that spectacular. Well, it's still solid. It's solid. It's profitable. And that's the goal for me day in, day out, especially high volume. Grind out more winning days than losing days. String together more profitable days than losing days. And I'm telling you what, 12 profitable days out of 20, it adds up. And if you continue to strive for every 20 days being profitable in at least 12 days of those 20, believe me, it will add up over time. There's no question. So again, best bets, top plays only, SoBet, $9.95 per month for that. So make sure you check out all of those subscription options. Again, that's lower volume, best bets, top plays only, the full card, every wager. That is Dub Club. That is the difference between the two subscription platforms that I currently use. All right, let's get into MLB for this Friday. We've got, as always, a pretty big card. Unbelievable run of overs, which explains why I'm doing well right now. In MLB, as you know, I'm more of an over guy when it comes to totals. And the ball continues to fly out of the park in so many of these games lately. We'll see if that continues tonight. We will begin with the LA Angels and the Washington Nationals, where we have Joel Soriano and Mitchell Parker, the pitching matchup here for this one. Currently, the Nationals minus 115, slight home favorites in this game, and the total currently 9 shaded to the over here between these two teams. Mitchell Parker has... Well, there was a period of time there in July where he went through a couple of rough starts, including the one after the All-Star break. But last 2 starts, he has been better. He pitched solid against Arizona, 2 runs in 5 innings, and really pitched well against Milwaukee in his last start, shutting out the Brewers in 6 innings. So, the question you have to ask yourself, is Parker starting to find his footing again? The Angels are actually in the last 10 games, they're not bad against lefties. They haven't been that bad. So we'll see if Parker can continue to pitch like he has, better that is, the last 2 starts. Soriano, meanwhile, pitched 6 innings of shutout baseball against the New York Mets. So definitely have to give him the credit for that. We'll see how he fares here. He's been better on the road, interestingly enough. 2.86 ERA for Joel Soriano on the road here in this game. I don't have an opinion here. It's a big card. Don't need to bet every game. Don't need to have a strong opinion on every game. It does feel like the Nationals might be a little cheap here at this price, but nothing strong for me. A lean Nats, but not going to be getting involved with this one. All right, Baltimore and Tampa Bay. We have a battle of Zacks on the mound here. Zach Eflin for Baltimore, former member of the Tampa Bay Rays, and Zach Little here for the Tampa Bay Rays. We've got Baltimore minus 130, road favorites, 8 the total in this game. Baltimore's been a hodgepodge of mediocrity, I guess you could say, for the last 10 games. Granted, they're still an overall 20 games above 500, 68 and 48 record, but They definitely haven't played their best baseball, the last month or so. A lot of up and down inconsistency from this team. We'll see how Zach Eflin fares here with the Orioles, making his third start with Baltimore after getting dealt from Tampa Bay to Baltimore at the deadline. He's given up 5 runs in 12.1 innings over those 2 starts against Toronto and Cleveland, which isn't bad. But what's concerning is the hard hit contact he's giving up. He's allowed 15 hits in those 2 starts. So what that tells me is, he's only given up 5 runs, but 15 hits in those 2 starts tells me he's getting out of jams. He's getting out of trouble, and credit to him for it. But that does concern me a little bit. And certainly you're facing a team that should know you inside out as far as what you offer in terms of your pitching arsenal. So let's see if he can navigate his way through a Tampa Bay lineup that should have a pretty good idea of what's coming, with Eflin being a former teammate of theirs. Meanwhile, you've got Zach Littell here for the Rays, who's actually pitched pretty solid last 2 outings, 1 run in his last 12.2 innings against the Reds and the Astros. Before that, he had run into some troubled waters a little bit. We'll see if he can continue to pitch well here as he has lately. Another pitcher that has a home road split, does pitch much better here at Tropicana Field. So we'll see if he can deliver another solid outing tonight in that regard. Meanwhile, Eflin, it's funny. The websites are going to show his home ERA 2.52 on the season. But most of his home starts were at Tropicana Field, where he was pitching for Tampa Bay before the deadline. So he's actually pitched well in this park. So Baltimore's not a team I'm betting unders with right now. So I'm riding the trend with Baltimore. They've been an over machine. I know Eflin's capable. He's pitched okay since he's been with the Orioles. He's certainly pitched better in this ballpark at Tropicana Field. Little's pitched all right the last 2 starts, but this total opened 7.5. It's up to 8. I think it moved up for Baltimore to me is just an over machine. Their lineup can hit. Their starters, even Eflin, not always going deep, and their bullpen's a big problem right now. Baltimore has a lot of issues with that bullpen, especially the back end. They are not closing the door late in games, which is why I still lean over the total here, because even if the starters are okay, you could get some late runs against these 2 bullpens, who both of these bullpens, by the way, have a 4.50 ERA on the season. And Baltimore's bullpen in particular, 5.29 ERA the last 10 games. So I still have to look at this game up and over, given the torrid overstreak that the Baltimore Orioles are on right now. All right, next up, we've got, it looks like Oakland and Toronto. We've got Spence on the mound for the Athletics, Jose Barrios for the Blue Jays. Toronto minus 160, home favorites, 9 the total. Probably another over lean for me in this game. This one, the one concerning thing for me with the over here is Barrios. You're not always sure what you're going to get from him, and he had pitched pretty well, but he got roughed up against the Yankees in his last start. Mitch Spence has actually pitched pretty well in his last 3 starts. We'll see if that can continue here against Toronto. But I still think both of these lineups, with what we've seen out of them, Oakland's cooled off a little bit. But tell you what, the Blue Jays are hitting pretty well here the last 10 games. They've scored 4 or more in a lot of their games lately. Their bullpen is still very sketchy. We know Oakland's bullpen is very sketchy. So I still think you can make a case for runs to be scored. It's going to be a very warm, muggy night once again in Toronto. Which is, pretty much the way it's been lately. So, and the total went up 8.5 to 9. So I get the sentiment there. Still don't fully trust Barrios. So over 9 for me would be the look when it comes to the A's and the Blue Jays in this one. All right, San Diego, Miami, Martin Perez for the Padres, Edward Cabrera for the Marlins. San Diego minus 130, road favorites, 8.5 the total here in this game. Obviously, San Diego, this is a lineup that, to say they're hitting is an understatement. 10-6-9-7 runs scored for San Diego the last 4 games. They are absolutely crushing the baseball. Now, can they crush Edward Cabrera is the question, because he's actually pitched pretty well. 3 runs or less in 4 straight starts. So we'll see how Cabrera fares on the mound here for this against this red-hot hitting, all of a sudden, San Diego Padres team that just in the last 10 games, they're averaging 289 against righties. Meanwhile, the Marlins are slumping a little bit against lefties, and they'll face one here in Martin Perez. And this guy's just Forrest Gump of pitchers sometimes, Martin Perez. Box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. He got roughed up a couple of starts there in July. And since the All-Star break, Martin Perez has given up 1 run in 12 innings against the Cardinals and the Rockies. So good luck trying to figure out what Martin Perez shows up here in this game. I would just stick with San Diego team total, if anything. I mean, they're just, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I was on Padre team totals. A lot of those games against the Marlins earlier in the season, against the Pirates, I should say. It wouldn't surprise me to see them get over that team total again of 4.5. They're collectively in very good form right now, this San Diego lineup. C-Mac, he's in good form right now because he's joining us here on the show. C-Mac, what do you think here? San Diego Padres, Miami Marlins.
Oh, man, I'm not going to bet this game. We got a ton on the board here. Padres playing well. I get it. This line's come down a little bit, 10 or 15 cents. And the Marlins just kind of have nothing to play for. They got rid of a ton of people. If you look at this lineup, but, they're scoring some runs. And the Padres have been an over machine. When I look at this before, with these lineups scuffling, I'd be all over this under. But Perez on the road, like you mentioned. And what do we get from Cabrera? I don't know. He is at home. I think he could pitch all right. But Padres feeling good. They're feeling good because now they're only 2.5 back, of the Dodgers. And are right there to strike. So I leaned over in this game. How could you not?
Yeah, I think definitely the overs, Padres team total over specifically. I like that more than the full game total in this one. All right, Houston, Boston. It is Ronel Blanco for the Astros, Tanner Houck for the Red Sox. This total up to 10 now. Pretty big move on this one. Boston minus 135, home favorites. The Astros finally get off the schneid. They win the last 2 games against Texas. Offense finally starts to score some runs again. Speaking of scoring some runs, Boston's been scoring some runs. 4-6-9, 7-4, 11 put up by the Red Sox in their last 6 games. But Tanner Houck has really hit the wall. I worry about Tanner Houck. Tanner Houck's a good pitcher, but we're talking about deep into a long season, probably up there as far as the most innings he's pitched in a single season. And you wonder if the fatigue is setting in right now for Tanner Houck. He hasn't been good the last 3 starts. 14 runs in his last 17 innings. 3 home runs allowed. The walks have been more of an issue against Colorado, Yankees, and Texas. All 3 of those games go over the total. What are we going to see from Blanco? Started the season, pretty solid for the Astros, but quite honestly has not been nearly as effective down the recent starts that he's had the last several. So what are we going to get from Ronel Blanco here in this game is a big question mark. He has a decent number still, 2.98 ERA on the season, but he did have a couple of difficult outings against the Dodgers and against the Mariners in particular there in the month of July. Did pitch all right against Tampa, though, last time. 2 runs, 6 hits in a pretty solid 5-inning performance there. Worth noting, very warm, very hot. Ball could be flying out of Boston and Fenway Park tonight. So, and I do get the reason for the over money. I mean, Boston's been an over machine here. They've been flying over the total. And these teams that they start to go on these over streaks, we talked about it with a bunch of teams right now. Arizona, Baltimore, just all these teams are going over the total, their games every single day. It's kind of starting to look that way with Boston right now as well. So, yeah, over or pass for me. C-Mac, what do you think here? Astros, Red Sox.
Yeah, I think if you got, 9.5, you're a lot better than the 10. Just once we start to get to double digits, it just gets tougher and tougher. Kind of a little bit like last night's Phillies game. Yeah, I missed the 9.5, and bingo, it's a 10. You get
it actually closed 10.5 that Arizona game last night. So
yeah,
definitely mattered.
Yeah, some places. Yeah, for sure. The wind's blowing out there. There could be some cheap home runs though here out in Fenway. Yep. So if you got that, I still think the 10 that we get plenty of runs in this one. Red Sox have just been hot. This is hard to look at. The Astros have not the bats. They need to wake up, and you see this price. It makes me kind of want to take them because it's just as much as I love the Red Sox. As soon as they become favorites like this, I want to pump the brakes. Blanco just lately being more like himself. Even Houck, though, walking a lot of late. And that won't work. With both these lineups, they can deliver. So, if you got under the 10, I really like the over. And I kind of lean the Astros just at the price. I know it's tough to take. Like you mentioned, they finally got off the schneid. But I think this is a game they can win at that price.
Yeah, I agree with that. If I were to take a side, I'd lean Astros. I'm not ready.
Red Sox bullpen hasn't been great too lately.
It is not. And Tanner Houck obviously has not pitched well. I'm worried about fatigue for him. So, I'm not rushing to lay a price there with Boston. All right, St. Louis, Kansas City. Miles Michaelis, Michael Lorenzen on the mound here for these two teams. Kansas City minus 120 home favorites. 9 is the total here, shaded to the under just a little bit. Not really a big fan of Miles Michaelis. I know I've talked about that quite a bit. He has been worse at Busch Stadium, believe it or not. On the road, he's actually got some better numbers, and even those numbers, though, still not great. 4.17 ERA on the road for Michaelis this year. Meanwhile, we've got Michael Lorenzen here for the Royals, 3.18 home ERA, 3.69 ERA overall. He's actually pitched pretty solid, more often than not. It's been weird lately, though. He had good start, bad start, good start, bad start, good start. Last time against Detroit, if you follow his recent pattern, maybe it's a bad start here tonight for Michael Lorenzen in this game. Hate to be repetitive, but Kansas City's another team. Their offense and Bobby Witt Jr. in particular, mashing the baseball. Even guys like MJ Melendez and some of these guys on the Royals, they've been really hitting well lately for them. If you can find an 8.5, I think the over's worth a play here. I don't trust Michaelis. Lorenzen, he's alternated good and bad starts. He's off a good start. Maybe that means he's due for a bad start here tonight. So there's some 9s. There's some 8.5s with juice. I know at the score bet, minus 125 on over 8.5. Pretty good price. I think if you find an 8.5, you can put the over in your pocket. I think it's got a chance here. What do you think here, C-Max, St. Louis, KC?
Yeah, I think we could definitely see some runs. I'm going to stick to the Royals. You were going down and going through his starts. They have been a little bit better for Michaelis, but this is a guy I want to fade on the road. And I got plus 115 here. And a few of these as good. They've been mostly good. Every once in a while, I'll catch a 2. I think even last week with them. And anyways, you could go full game. And I've looked at other teams with bad bullpens. I'll go that route to take a little less of a number. But I took the Royals here, team total over 2.5, because I got plus 115. I want the plus money with it. I think they can get to him. And who knows with Lorenzen? He hasn't been awful. Can he have a good start here? He's off 3 straight road starts, I believe. So the first home start here for the Royals, which could be big. But yeah, don't know who wins. Give me some runs early, Royals.
All right, we got the second game of a day-night doubleheader with Cleveland and Minnesota. They're playing right now as well. Alex Cobb, a blast from the past, on the mound for the Guardians, and Louis Varland here for the Twins. It's Minnesota minus 120 home favorites, 8.5 being the total in this one. We'll see how Alex Cobb fares for the Cleveland Guardians. It's a guy that, you look at his numbers you haven't seen him really this year. We'll see if he's able to get the job done here as he makes his starting debut this season for the Cleveland Guardians. Varland, on the flip side, is another guy we have not seen start in quite some time here for the Twins. So bit of an enigma what we're going to get from these two. We'll have to see who's in the lineup. I'm never rushing to bet these double headers. I know the first game right now is 4-2 in the 8th inning. Kind of like usually if the first game goes over, sometimes I think the second game can go under and vice versa. But I don't think I'll be involved in this one. Anything for you, C-Mac, with the second game, Cleveland, Minnesota?
Yeah, I'm not big with the double headers. Obviously, these are huge games. I kind of like here. Twins pull this off. I'm thinking about maybe not going crazy, but making a smaller bet, half unit type bet on the Guardians in this one with Varland on the mound. And we're getting basically even money in this second game. And like you said, I'm not huge on the double headers, and you know what? Guardians lose this, but the last 2 or 3 years, they've really owned the Twins. I think they beat them 8 of 10, even in Minnesota. So definitely maybe they could get the split here. If Twins win this first one, I'll have a little action on the Guardians even money.
All right, another division battle, this time in the AL Central to the NL Central, Cincinnati, Milwaukee, Carson Spires and Aaron Savali, the pitching matchup. Milwaukee minus 135 home favorites, 8.5 being the total in this game. Returns haven't been that good for Aaron Savali. Milwaukee getting him at the trade deadline, and more bad than good. 2 of his last 3 starts just raked. 5 runs and just 4.1 innings against Minnesota. 5 runs, 7 hits, 4 innings against Washington in his last start. So it hasn't been pretty here for Savali. We'll see how he fares against Spires, who's been a little bit more effective, but will he maintain that here tonight against the Milwaukee Brewers is a big question. Milwaukee is kind of, to say they're crushing the ball all of a sudden, yeah, bit of an understatement. They just destroyed and just completely kicked ass and just laid waste to the Atlanta Braves pitching staff in the 3 games in that series, scoring a whopping 34 runs in the 3 games in that series. So can they maintain that here? Again, you're talking a hitter-friendly park, a warm, muggy night in Cincinnati, and you're only giving me an 8.5 here. That's definitely something I got to look at an over with Milwaukee hitting the way they are.
At Milwaukee, though, right? We're at Milwaukee,
Milwaukee? Oh, it is Milwaukee. My bad. Okay. I still like it over. Milwaukee's hitting well. Spires is okay, not great. And then meanwhile, look, Savali's not been good. Okay, he definitely has struggled. Reds, bats. I liked what I saw from Cincy against Miami. They put up 10-8, 4, and 10 in that 4-game series. So the Reds bats came to life all of a sudden as well. You look at the bullpen capability of these 2 teams. Cincinnati's pitching to a 5.13 ERA with their bullpen the last 10 games. Even Milwaukee's bullpen hasn't been dominant by any stretch. It's been all right, but it hasn't been phenomenal. So at 8.5, I can make a case, I think, for over 8.5 here. Reds, Brewers. C-Mac, what do you think?
I think so, too. Right now, I bet this over or nothing in this game. I don't trust these pitchers. This seems like a weird one, but I don't trust these teams, Bobano. So I'm like, it seems like everything's been golden. The runs, the Reds just scored a bunch versus the Marlins. Obviously, you mentioned that Brave series for the Brewers, and we could just get a couple, but that'd be the only look in this one. Right now, I know the Brewers smashed them. Braves have problems. We'll get to them. They're just not a very good team right now. I'd be on the Reds or nothing as dogs here, too. I just don't love the Brewers and what they're doing. After they scored all those runs still, I don't want them in this one. And, yeah, I go full game, too, over.
Speaking of the Braves, good segue. They're next up on the schedule here. Atlanta, Colorado, Grant Holmes, Tanner Gordon. The pitching matchup here in this one. We've got Atlanta minus 160, road favorites, 10.5 the total. In this game, Atlanta slipping. They're now fallen to just 60 and 54. They're now trailing. They've been trailing the Phillies all year, but now the New York Mets have caught them and passed them for second in the NL East. So they're slipping, and it's becoming a little alarming now for the Atlanta Braves. They've now lost 5 in a row, swept by the Milwaukee Brewers. Their pitching staff was just crippled by that Brewers lineup. Grant Holmes, we'll see how he performs. He had 1 good start, 1 bad start. So which Grant Holmes is it going to be? Tanner Gordon for the Colorado Rockies. The thing that would concern me about him is he hasn't been great. 6.75 ERA, 7.11 home ERA here at Coors Field. The last time we saw him start at home, he got raked by Kansas City, 5 runs, 6.1 innings against the Royals. They lost 10-1. That being said, I cannot lay a price for me, at least, with this Atlanta team on the road. I have no interest in doing that. Colorado or nothing for me. I just wish Tanner Gordon's been pitching better, and he hasn't been. So that's my only hesitancy about taking the Rockies as a dog. I want to. I like this price. I have no qualms fading Atlanta at this price, but I do worry about what we're seeing from Tanner Gordon. Hasn't been that impressive. Still lean Rockies. Want no part of Atlanta in this price range on the road. C-Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, we'll see with the rain. That last game, too, just to throw it out, Ellie De La Cruz, the number's still nice today. The guy's red hot. I keep rolling with him props. Just want to put that out there. I have it.
Yep.
Gordon did pitch well. I believe I pushed that last start in San Diego. It was 1-1. That's the best I'd seen him pitch, though, really all year. Even his minor league starts, they had been all right. I don't know what we get, and I don't think he's great, and he could get tattooed. And this is just kind of what maybe this Braves lineup needs, but there's just no way I'm going to back them with Grant Holmes. Rockies first 5. And what does this game go?
By the way, Braves are 0-2 with Grant Holmes starting this year. Worth noting. Yep.
He gets hit as well. I don't know if this game goes. I think it does. I see some rain. Hold on here. Yeah,
I
I think it's going to
it'll
go.
be enough to wash it out. That's
I think it's going to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Rockies. I think I'm going to have a piece of them here, first 5. Just this Braves team is not great. It's tough with Gordon. If you want, you can look at the team total, situation too. I might in that one and look at some props.
All right, Philadelphia, Arizona. Wheeler in the sky keeps on turning. Zach Wheeler for Philadelphia. Ryan Nelson, Arizona on the mound. Philly minus 125 road favorites. 8.5 the total in this game. Arizona's another one of these teams. They've been playing tons of overs lately. The question is, will tonight be one of those games? Because Zach Wheeler's not typically an over pitcher. We know when he's on his game, he can be dominant. He had that one outlier anomaly start against the Yankees where he got crushed. Other than that, though, 2 runs or less, 4 of his last 5 starts. He's been pretty capable, pretty reliable. Ryan Nelson, what will you get from him? He struggled against Pittsburgh his last start, 4 runs, 6 hits, only lasted 5 innings. He's not got a great track record here at Chase Field, 5.33 ERA. I've been riding Arizona overs. I feel like I need to just keep riding it. Zach Wheeler starting be damned, and it's only 8.5, but that does concern me. We know he's capable of putting up a 2-run or less performance. But both bullpens are a little susceptible at times too, and I'm gonna be on the over. I don't love it as much as some. Like I really liked the over last night, and I was fortunate to get on it early at 9.5, so I was able to cash it with the Phillies and the Diamondbacks. I don't like this one as much because Wheeler's involved and he's pretty good, but Arizona's on an over machine type of run, and at 8.5, I have to take it. C-Mac, what do you think here? Philly, Arizona.
I don't blame you in this one. And Zach Wheeler's been a little bit trouble for me. I mean, when he doesn't have it early, he doesn't.
Yeah.
That Baltimore start and that Yankee game too, and that game started soaring over. It's like they knew he was just going to get ripped that day. Man, the total in that game. I think he'd have a decent start. The last one was good, but that's against the Mariners team, that just can't hit a lick at all. I was lucky to get a win. We'll get to them later. So I don't know. Ryan Nelson, he just hasn't had it at home. DRA has just been awful. He's had some better starts as of late. D-backs, though, have hit the ball. They should have scored some more runs last night. Both teams early at least had runners on. There were runs late, so you were happy that game got over. And the Phillies were a nice price if you waited at plus 120. That's 3 days in a row. After I lost it, the other day when I was on here, man, I've took it every day since. The Phillies at plus money. There's the Dodgers, and yesterday. But now they're favored with Wheeler. This is tough. I kind of like the D-backs here. I wish the price was a little bit better in this one. And I don't know. Can we maybe not get a ton of runs, but maybe we do? Because I just don't know what Zach Wheeler we're going to get. I don't know.
That's exactly it. And that's the key. I think Philly can score against Arizona and Nelson in the bullpen. What is Wheeler going to do? That's going to determine it's definitely going to determine, I think, the total as well. All right, Mets and Mariners. We got interleague play here. Seattle minus 130, home favorites, 8 the total. Jose Quintana, the lefty, on the mound for the Mets, and we have Bryce Miller for Seattle. And we've talked about Bryce Miller, a few of these pitchers for Seattle, especially Bryce Miller, and how you don't want him on the road, but you absolutely could have him on your side at home. 2.27 home ERA at T-Mobile Park in Seattle for Bryce Miller. I'll tell you what, there's some kind of special little magic at times developing for this Mariners team. They won 2 of 3 against a good Phillies team over the weekend. They did lose the first 2 against Detroit, but one of those was against Skubal, so you can forgive them for that. They did win the finale, walk-off winner against Detroit last night with Mitch Haniger's hit. Mets played the Rockies and beat them 9-1. They're traveling for the 3rd straight time now, 3rd straight series on the road here for the Mets. It's got to catch up to them. They were in L.A., Anaheim with the Angels last weekend. They have to go to St. Louis for a makeup game on Monday, fly down to Colorado for 3 games, no day off, and now back to Seattle, the Pacific Northwest tonight. I mean, if you're just adding up travel and scheduling, it might catch up to the Mets at some point, and I certainly trust Miller more than I trust Quintana. So I think situationals point to Seattle being a decent bet here tonight, around minus 125, minus 130. So I like the Mariners a little bit. C-Mac, what do you think?
Well, that's the price that you want. Like yesterday was great. And, they blew it there late. Bad play, score 3 runs. They win 4-3. But Tigers, again, early. Almost minus 200 favorites for the Mariners. So yeah, the Tigers' first five was good. So I get that. It's not that I'm crazy about the Mets. I'm a little shocked. This is 7.5 has been at 8. I don't buy it. I don't know. I know the Mets just scored. There was Coors. Now they leave there. Miller's good at home. I know Quintana can have trouble, but in the end, I don't trust this Mariners team. They'll have spurts. If I lose this bet on this under, Bobano, it'll be 13-2. Like they'll have a crazy amount. They'll burst out. But if they don't, this Mariners team just doesn't score runs. They don't do the small things and aren't a great lineup. So I like the under here.
Yeah, I mean, not every game is going to go over, and I think if I had to pick one that could be lower scoring, this is not a bad candidate. Jose Quintana has actually been a little bit better lately. That's another thing. And Seattle's not always great hitting lefties, so that's one thing he's got in his favor. And Bryce Miller's good at home, so this could be lower scoring. But because I think we've had so many overs, they're pushing every total up for the most part. I think that's just what it's become here the last few days. All right, Pittsburgh Pirates, L.A. Dodgers. We've got Mitch Keller, Jack Flaherty, the pitching matchup. Dodgers minus 200, home favorites, 8 the total in this game. Look, when Jack Flaherty's on the Jack Flaherty deserves a lot of credit. I did not necessarily think he had a turn back the clock, look like an elite pitcher type of season in him. But boy, has he had it for the Dodgers this year. 2.8 ERA, and of course started the year actually with Detroit and then traded to the Dodgers. But between the Tigers and the Dodgers combined, what a season for Flaherty. 2.8 ERA, 1.14 ERA in his last 3 starts. He's given up just 2 earned runs in his last 17.2 innings. He's not given up an earned run in 2 straight starts. The 1 run that was scored against him by Cleveland was unearned. So this guy is just a shutdown machine right now, Jack Flaherty. When he's on the mound, I ain't fading him. It's either you take the Dodgers in some form or you pass. But Mitch Keller, 2 runs or less in 5 straight starts. The Pirates are 5-0 in his last 5 starts as well. We'll see how this one goes. But, this is another one, too, with the total being 8. Not every game is going to go over. There's got to be a couple situations where you can make a case for an under. This might be one of them here with the Pirates and the Dodgers. But I lean Dodgers, but I just don't want to get involved at minus 200. But at the same point in time, Flaherty's been bet on or passed for me all season, and it's still that way as far as I'm concerned. C-Mac, what do you think? Pirates, Dodgers?
Yeah, he's been great. This Dodger team, though, is just off. Will Smith has just been ice cold. And Mookie Betts is going to be a few more days, I believe. From everything I looked at, he's not coming back tonight, I think. But just a couple more days, he will be back, which will help out. And it's been tough. Like, Lux has been a little bit better. This Dodger team, though, Hernandez finally, he's been all right, but cooled down how red hot he was before the break. I don't like the Pirates bullpen. The Dodger bullpen's always pretty good. They've had some bad spurts like any bullpen. Because I don't know if I wish I had the 4 and a hook, because I'd be all over that first 5 under in this game. So I might do a split or just go full game in this one. So I'm definitely on the under. I think Mitch Keller could be all right in this one. One thing, if the guy, he's back, he has good numbers off Keller. Freddie Freeman, I took his RBI plus 180 and his homer plus 525. 6 for 12 off him. I think he gets something done there, but low scoring one for me. By the way, I'm going to have a piece of the Pirates first 5. As much as I love Flaherty, this price is just way too big right now. This Dodger baseball team is just not playing great. As good as I think Flaherty could pitch, I got to have a piece of the Pirates here. First 5. It's right around plus 190, I think. I believe. Yeah,
I get it. And they're 5-0, the Pirates, in Keller's last 5 starts. So I get it. At that price, maybe being a little bit interested in.
Sorry, it's not that high. It's only like 170, but full game's 190. Yeah, Pirates.
Still good price on the first 5, though. No doubt with the fact that, again, the Pirates have won 5 straight starts with Mitch Keller on the mound. All right, last game for this Friday slate, Detroit Tigers and San Francisco Giants. Looks like Robbie Ray on the mound for the for the Giants. We don't know who's on the mound yet for the Tigers. So a hard one to decipher. Giants are a big minus 195 home favorite in this game. Heartbreaking loss for Detroit last night. What Robbie Ray will we see tonight? He wasn't great against Oakland. He got lit up for 4 runs, 7 hits, 4.1 innings. He was great against the Dodgers in his San Francisco debut before that. And he was Good. I mean, not great, but good against Cincinnati last time. 2 runs, 3 hits, 5 innings. Did give up a couple of home runs. So he's had a good and a bad and a mediocre start, I guess you could say so far, Robbie Ray. Bottom line is I'm not ready to lay this kind of a price with him. We'll have to see who's on the mound for Detroit. But, this Tigers team, they're only 3-7 in their last 10, but the last couple losses were both by 1 run. They've been competitive. They've been in games. We'll have to see who pitches, but depending on who's on the mound, I might grab a little piece of the Tigers here at a big number. I mean, I'm just not ready to get involved with Robbie Ray at this price. C-Mac, what do you think here? Tigers, Giants.
I'm going to be off. Yeah, we just don't know the pitcher in this one. And it might be Maeda. He didn't pitch, did he, yesterday? Man?
Oh, let me just check on that. I don't think he did. Let me see out of the bullpen. Let me see. No, we did not see Maeda yesterday. No.
I got to think he starts. I don't know what I think so. And there's no way. If he's in, maybe the Giants team total, which I haven't loved a ton.
Yeah.
Because I think Robbie Ray could pitch well here with this Tigers team in this one. But the price is, there's just teams like this. It's been tough. Anyone but Maeda, the Tigers, I think, are alive. I can't back him in any way when he's on the bump. But anyone else, I think there's still a little value, at least first 5 with the Tigers, plus 175, 165.
Yeah, I agree. You're right. I'd be a little worried about Maeda. He had a 7 ERA when he started games earlier in the season for Detroit, but then A.J. Hinch moved him to the bullpen. But he is stretched out, and there's a chance. I have a feeling he might end up being the starter tonight, even though it hasn't been officially announced yet by this Tigers team. All right, that's MLB. We're going to not going to go through every game, but we're going to go through, just for me, rapid fire opinions on the NFL preseason slate this week. Again, you want to target situations with good quarterback rotations. You want to figure out if the starters are going to be extended for any of these teams. A perfect example of that is Houston-Pittsburgh. Houston played the Hall of Fame game against Chicago last week. Their starters are going to play and maybe play well into the first quarter tonight, according to D'Amico Ryans. You're going to see C.J. Stroud. You're going to see the first-team offense and defense, and possibly for a series or two. That explains all the Houston money. But here's the thing. Pittsburgh has an incredible preseason track record under Mike Tomlin. He's a great preseason coach. This has been a great preseason team. I think they've won and covered every recent week 1 preseason game over the years. So that's enough to say pass on the side. I think the over there, I know we had 2 ugly games last night, but it was raining in New England. It was raining in the Meadowlands there, MetLife Stadium. The weather was miserable. Both teams just wanted to run the football and get out of there. When you look at the quarterback rotations for both of these teams, like for Houston, you're going to have Stroud, you're going to have Mills, you're going to have Tim Boyle. You're going to have guys. He's an experienced veteran backup. You're going to have Case Keenum. You're going to have guys that are very experienced. And then for Pittsburgh, Justin Fields is going to start. And then after that, you're going to see Kyle Allen, who's a veteran quarterback now in the NFL. Carolina, Washington, Buffalo just recently. And then you're going to have John Reese Plumlee. And I know he's a second-year guy, John Reese Plumlee. But at the same point in time, he's got athleticism. He's mobile. He can move his feet, move his legs in the pocket. And that's what you want late in the game. So I agree with the total going up in that Houston-Pittsburgh game. And the same thing for Atlanta-Miami. Look at the quarterbacks there. You're going to see Mike White and Skylar Thompson from Miami. I know there's no Tua tonight, but those are 2 guys that have started a bunch of games in the regular season in the NFL. Skylar Thompson played a playoff game, remember 2 years ago against Buffalo. Skylar Thompson had to start that game. So Mike White and Skylar Thompson from Miami is an experienced quarterback duo. For Atlanta, no Kirk Cousins, but Michael Penix will play a little bit, probably not much, but he'll play a little bit. The rookie will get his feet wet in his first ever NFL game. And then after that, you got an experienced guy in Taylor Heineke, and you've got my guy from the CFL, Nathan Rourke, former Ohio Bobcat, CFL MVP candidate 2 years ago, who lit up the preseason, by the way, with Jacksonville last year. Remember how good Nathan Rourke played for Jacksonville in the preseason last year? He can come in there and move the football in the fourth quarter. Nathan Rourke for Atlanta. So Atlanta's taking money, I agree. The over's taking money in that game, I agree. And then last, Philly and Baltimore. Baltimore long-term, everyone knows, right? C-Mac, John Harbaugh, and the Ravens have been incredible in the preseason. I don't know if that continues because the win streak finally got snapped last year, 22, 23 game preseason win streak for Baltimore, and it got snapped last year. I don't know if they're going to care as much now. That streak was a big part of why they played every preseason game like it was a meaningful game. But now the streak's done, and their quarterback rotation, I think, is pretty weak this year, Baltimore, for preseason games. I don't love what we're going to get at the quarterback position from them later in the game. So, yes, Baltimore has been almost a bet on or don't bet the game team in the preseason for years now, but I'm not convinced that's going to be the case this year. The streak's over. They've kind of started to lose ATS in the preseason the last year or so, and now I don't think they have the depth they used to have, especially in that quarterback rotation's not great. So I'd say in that one, I'm not betting that one, but I'm not rushing to bet Baltimore. Let's put it that way. I'd lean Philly if I had to. So CMAC, anything for you? Anything you want to say about the 3 preseason games?
Yeah, the Eagles, Ravens. Not that I want the Eagles though. I know the streak's over. I'd still bet the Ravens money line. Like if you free bet.
Yep.
At plus 115 in the end. Like I think they win this game because I don't know how much the Eagles really give a shit in that one. Falcons, Dolphins. I think if you like Falcons, it's a little similar to the first game. You like them maybe a little bit early, but full game. I think the Dolphins. You almost get plus 140. Screw the 3 points. So just take the money line in these preseason games. Not all of them. And I do
for the whole game too. They only have 3 quarterbacks on their roster: Tua, Mike White, and Skylar Thompson. They didn't bring in any other quarterbacks, so it's going to be Mike White and Skylar Thompson for the whole game.
Yeah, I think they can score some points too. So Dolphins there is one. I do a lot preseason, not a lot of betting, and then if I do, maybe live when I'm watching some of these games.
Yep.
If I just watching how the game's going, flowing, and we'll take it. That one too. If I kind of like Texans, if you like them, first quarter. That was my thing too. But I'm not really loving that. Yep. It's -0.5 first quarter. It's plus 125. I think they'll have a few good drives, but still, even at that, got to be winning after the first. Even a 3-3, 7-7, you lose that ticket. But I think early with them, but then full game, I'd stay off. I think the Steelers take the +3 or the money line.
Yeah, I mean that's a tough one because I think there's a lot of things that point Houston. They're
early,
extended time with Texans starters versus Steelers backups. But that Steeler track record in the preseason, I can't go against that. I don't want to go against that either. Mike Tomlin,
I keep it small if you wanted to. Texans early, maybe. Just like that first quarter, first half.
Put it this way. If you like the Texans, bet them first quarter or first half. If you like the Steelers, just take the Steelers full game. That's probably what you should be doing.
Yeah, or wait, bet live if they get down a little and then grab them at halftime. Yeah.
Just a couple for tomorrow that I like. I like Washington Commanders. Jets have a poster child of a team, I think, that couldn't give a shit about the preseason, quite honestly. I think you're looking at a Washington team that's got a lot more to want to show here in August. I like their quarterback setup, so can make a case for the Commanders. Buffalo is a good preseason team under Sean McDermott. I get that. And Chicago's already hinted that, their O-line's banged up a little bit too. I mean, it could be an advantage for Buffalo there in that game. And Josh Allen's playing a little bit here in this game for Buffalo. And after that, they got Trubisky, and Bouchel's pretty good preseason quarterback. I remember betting Kansas City the last few years. Shane Bouchel was there. He played pretty decently in the preseason for them. So Buffalo probably could be the good side there. I mean, I think one of the best sides of the day tomorrow in the preseason is the Cleveland Browns, but everybody agrees with that. It's up to 5.5, but I totally agree with it. How do you not love that rotation in quarterbacks for them? It's absolutely tremendous what they're going to have. They're going to have 2 guys, especially mostly in the second half. You're obviously not going to see Deshaun Watson, but you still got Jameis Winston. You've got Tyler Huntley, who's been a great preseason quarterback when he was with Baltimore, and he started a bunch of games there as well. And then DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Remember what DTR did in the preseason last year for Cleveland? Played very well in preseason games for the Browns. And then Green Bay's got Sean Clifford from Penn State. I don't trust him too much. And then after that, I think you got you've got Michael Pratt, I should say, the rookie out of Tulane. So, a guy that I don't think played great last year for Tulane because their offense kind of went downhill a little bit. It's more their defense, why they were pretty good. So Green Bay, I think definitely. I don't love those second half QBs we're going to see for them in that game. I think that's concerning. Huge edge there for the Browns. Mike LaFleur's never been a guy that's been overly concerned about preseason results. So I think Cleveland is a good side. The problem is, all the way up now to 5.5, you might have lost all the value. I think Seattle, too. Seattle's got a backup quarterback battle, too. Obviously, we know Geno is going to be the starting quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks. But oftentimes you get the guys battling for the 2 spot. That's often teams you want to back in the preseason. We got that with Sam Howell and P.J. Walker. They are going to battle for the backup behind Geno in Seattle. So I kind of agree with the Seahawks being favored there as well against the Chargers for Saturday. And then probably on Sunday, I'm interested in the Colts. I'm not taking Dallas. Like Dallas Rams is an easy pass, Connor Mack, on Sunday. I cannot lay 4 points on the road with Dallas in the preseason because they have not been a great preseason. But you can't take the Rams because Sean McVay and the Rams are maybe the number one or one of the top teams as far as they couldn't care less about the preseason, the LA Rams. So that's the easiest pass of the entire weekend for me. C-Mac, anything you like Saturday or Sunday with NFLX?
Sunday, no. I haven't gone through enough of these, but you're right. I don't want either of those teams. If I had to, I'd take the Rams, but it's just more of going through the motions for them in that one. I think the Bills are a solid look, if you're looking there. It's under the 3, or you actually look at them first half. I think they can beat up on the Bears. That was about it. I still have to go through these. I'm not a huge preseason bettor, like I talked about. But you like the Commanders. Do you think they just Jets not giving a shit?
It's all on the Jets have not been the best preseason team, and especially this year. They're already talking about, Rodgers isn't going to play. You look at their situation behind him. You do have Tyrod Taylor, but you know what you're going to see? Andrew Peasley and Adrian Martinez for most of the game. I'm not crazy about that. A turnover-prone Adrian Martinez now in the National Football League? Yeah, that's not exactly a bet-on situation by any stretch. And like I said, with the Commanders, new head coach, Dan Quinn wanting to put a little imprint on this team. You got, after Jaden Daniels, who probably won't play much, you got Marcus Mariota, an experienced quarterback. Jeff Driscoll, a very experienced NFL quarterback. Like, he started a handful of games with Cincinnati, Jeff Driscoll, and he's got some athleticism. So that's a positive for Washington. You'll probably see a little bit of Sam Hartman, the rookie out of Wake Forest / Notre Dame. He played at both places. That's a little dicey potentially for Washington, but it's still better than what the Jets are putting out there. So, yeah, I still like Washington there.
Yeah, I think if I get some news here tomorrow on some of these, I might be on some of the totals. I like to see stuff late and maybe some movement.
Yeah.
Even if it's an over, I'll take it because there could be points. But a lot of this preseason, they'll be on an under, when I just think it's kind of, like an easygoing scrimmage, where some of these lines are up, at 40. 38.5, 40. These Bucks, Bengals, Niners, Titans games.
Canada
Chiefs,
right
Jags.
now, I've got it on my television in front of me. Canada's going for gold medal in women's beach volleyball right now.
Oh,
so
nice.
Let's go Canada right now. They're playing the Brazil pair right now. So there you go. Beach volleyball, great sport to watch, and for many reasons, as you can probably figure out. All right, MLB now for best bets for this Friday edition of Bet with Bobano. C-Mac, we'll start with you. What do you like tonight for best bet?
Well, it's kind of same game. Best bet, though, Pirates, Dodgers, under 8, -105. I'm going full game there. But I got a piece here. Pirates, first 5, +170. I have to take it, even with Flaherty on the mound. I think the Pirates could get a couple runs, maybe. And I like Keller. We'll see. He's been a different pitcher. When he's off, you don't want him at all. But when he's on, he's been good. So I think he'd be pretty good tonight.
Absolutely. He's been good lately. Pirates first 5. There we go. Take a shot. Big dog there for C-Mac with best bet. I'm going to go with that Brewers Reds over 8.5 in Milwaukee. I think it's pretty low. There's other overs I like, but you're going to give me 8.5 with Cincinnati, who's crushing the ball the last few games. Milwaukee, who's crushing the ball the last few games. Spires is okay, but he's not spectacular. And then, of course, you've got on the other side Savali, who's been a mess really since he's been with Milwaukee. So Yeah, just asking them to go over 8.5. Think they can do it. Cincinnati, Milwaukee, over 8.5, -110 for my best bet. Great stuff with CMAC. Great week of shows as always. Hit the like button on the way out. Shout out to Keebs, Timothy, Jorge, Kevin, everyone in the chat. Appreciate it very much.
Appreciate it.
For Connor Mack, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Friday night and a great weekend. Enjoy the games and good luck. We'll be back on Monday. Bet like Tony Soprano. Bet with Bobano. We'll see you Monday for another edition of Bet with Bobano.